Go down, Moses, way down in Egypt land. Tell old Pharaoh to let my people go. Go down, Moses, way down in Egypt land. Tell old Pharaoh to let my people go.
What up, everybody? Y'all know who it is, man. Coming at you on a Saturday morning, man. First of all, a good Shabbat Shalom to everybody out there. Once again, it's your boy, the Kung Fu Hebrew Saul G, checking in with you again. If you didn't know who I was, then once again, I don't like to talk about myself, so I'll let somebody else tell you who I am.
And my man, my brother, Kung Fu Fighting, Kung Fu Hebrew. Ho, 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 ho. Ha! Ho, 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 ho. Ha! And my man, my brother, Kung Fu Fighting, Kung Fu Hebrew.
All right. So first thing I need to do is take all these videos off loop because they keep playing twice. Secondly, just like I said, I want to welcome everybody to 40 Days and 40 Nights, man. You know, this is my show where I like to get into things. Before I get the show started, man, I always want to show love, man, to one of the sponsors of all my programming that I do. I see I got some people checking in with me this morning. I want to go ahead and acknowledge it. Feel like a family affair this morning. So first of all, man, shout out to Pops checking in with me, man. So I would just like to say, man, I think it's perfect that my dad is checking in right now, man, because I want to read the scripture to you real quick. Matthew 7, right? First thing in Matthew 7, verse 1 says, judge not that ye be not judged. So the one thing I try to do on this show is I don't try to be very judgmental of other people and other groups. Like I said, if you know somebody has an issue with something I'm saying, then hey, if you can present it and bring it to me in a proper manner, I'll listen to it. But since my pops is on the line, I just want to throw the judge part out. But this is the part that I want to focus on. 7:15, right? And it says, beware of false prophets, which come to you in sheep clothing, but inwardly they are ravening wolves. Ye shall know them by their fruits. And it says, do men gather grapes of thorn or figs or thistles? Even so, every good tree bringeth forth good fruit, but a corrupt tree bringeth forth evil fruit. And I just wanted to start the lesson this morning because like I said, that would mean my father is a good tree because I'm here, right? That would mean my father is a good tree because I know how my sisters are, right? That's the one thing we got to understand. So when I'm doing my lessons, when I'm trying to teach, not necessarily a different way or a different perspective of looking at the Bible, what I'm trying to do is produce good fruit, okay? Because some of these organizations and churches and just straight up YouTubers, your fruit is not good. Your fruit is borderline evil, however you want to try to classify that. That is the point. If somebody is saying they rock with me, then I wouldn't expect you to go somewhere else and be acting a fool. I wouldn't expect for you not to treat another human being with respect. You understand? Because the book says treat others how you want to be treated. That you don't even have to be religious for that to make sense. What I just said that Jesus said in Matthew, you don't have to be religious for that concept to make sense. A good tree will bear good fruit. It's just simple. But like I said, before I get into it, because I do need to explain what I mean by when I say it's going to be me versus AI this morning, I do need to explain that. Before I do that, man, I gotta give my sponsor. I just had to acknowledge, my elder in the building who's going to be turning 3/4 of a century on the 14th, man. So tomorrow tomorrow, man. So a early happy 3/4 of a century to the reason why I am the way I am, the reason why I look the way I looked, and parts of it the reason why I act the way I act, because as you can see right now, I am having some coffee. And as a young one, my father used to always drink coffee, and I used to say that's gross. My father used to always listen to sports radio, and I'm like, we can't get no music, we can't no. And then now I drink coffee and listen to sports radio. So it's amazing how one of those old saying is this: history repeats itself. It's amazing how those things work. But like I said, man, shout out to Pops checking in, man. The family affair this morning. I see nephew checking in with me this morning, man. Shout out to the nephew, man. One of the best human beings that I know, man. And that ain't even me just saying that just because he's my nephew, man. Like, good dude, man. Good spirit about him. Man, I love my nephew, man. Appreciate you checking in with your uncle this morning. But as I've been trying to do for the last one, man, because y'all got peoples in the building this morning, let me go ahead and like I said, once again, thank my sponsor, which is going to be Southern Fusion Bistro. Once again, family affair. This is my cousin, blood cousin's restaurant down there in Jonesboro, Georgia. So what I want to do is you can also order through Uber Eats, DoorDash, through their website. I believe it's at the end of it, but I'll address it again. But yeah, man, please support them. So if you like brunch, breakfast, things like that, go check them out. All right, so everybody out there who's paying attention, who's watching right now, make sure you hit that like button. If you are subscribed to the channel, I need for you to go into your notifications, right? It's probably set to personalize. You need to go up and click all. I don't go live that much. I don't spam your inbox with a whole bunch of extra stuff. So it's okay to just go ahead and click all. So that way, every time I go live, you'll get a notification an hour, 30 minutes early. So that way, you know, you can check in with me. You understand what I'm saying? I see, once again, been there. The food is always hot and fresh and so good. So there you go. Somebody who is, you know, go ahead and saying that the cousin got some good food. But what I want to talk about this morning is some of the things that I've been going over. And a lot of times, right, when people get on the internet, they just say wild things. And what I mean by wild is, I've already talked to you about how my thoughts on the Bible. There's some wild things that happen in the Bible. We got to be able to be honest and think about, like, some of the stories. That's wild if you think about it, right? Like we think about it in the social media era that we live in right now, right? Somebody said, right now, the earth is going to end, and some random guys like, the earth is going to end, y'all, and God said, I need you to build a boat, take some animals on it. You'd be like, man, that boy is crazy, right? But you got to think about it. If you look at the story of Noah, that's what was going on. But imagine some of the things that happen in the Bible if we translate it to 2024, New Year, right? Imagine how crazy some of those things would sound. But when I say I hear some crazy things, I mean I hear some crazy things. So what I attempt to do on this show is I try to make things as logical as possible, as historical and factual as possible, and then as something you can apply and use in 2024. Because whether or not you want to argue about different things, right? When you come on this show, I've addressed certain things, right? I've already talked about the Black Hebrews plenty of times. I've already addressed the table of nations and things like that, right? So I've talked about where biblically, where the Bible will tell you certain people, all these type of things. And I've walked you up from a historical perspective about what I believe I can prove. But the reason why I'm doing this show today is because, once again, things like AI exist. And to be honest with you, AI makes it very easy to verify or check or do anything, because Anything I say can be verified or checked by AI very, very simply. So what I'm going to do is that's why I said it's the Kung Fu Hebrew versus AI today. If there was something that I said that was incorrect, or if there is something that I believe that just doesn't quite match up, or if you saw me on another platform and you said, oh my God, what did he say? How did he think this? Da, 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 da. You got to understand certain things. And I'm also going to call people not out, but I'm going to name names today because once again, a lot of times people listen with deaf ears. And if you're listening with deaf ears, right, you're going to automatically associate. It's like if you see somebody with tattoos or something like that, you might automatically say, oh, I bet that person's been to prison. That's not how it works. You have to take each individual on their own merit, okay? So that's what we're about to get into today. So if I said it, trust me, I have done what you want to call the research. I've looked into it. I've read the books. I've listened to different things. I've got different opinions from different places, right? Because once again, if I mentioned anybody's name on here, now all of a sudden you want to affiliate me. No, if you deal with scholarship, then you have to cite your sources. So if I'm telling you, this is my idea, it's mine. If I heard it somewhere and I said, dang, that's good, I got to give credit where I gave it to, where I got it from. Otherwise, that would be dishonest scholarship. Why would I do that? But people on YouTube will do it all the time, right? Some people could like what me and my boy Birdie do on our show. And somebody comes and watches our show and be like, oh, I like how they do their podcast. Then all of a sudden, your favorite podcast that you might like, all of a sudden start having all these visuals and transitions and all this other stuff. And then they know they watched us and they don't want to say, oh, yeah, we saw the worst podcast and we like that, so we took it. They're not going to do that. Why? Because they're so arrogant, and I'm not, that if I got something from somewhere, I'm going to tell you where the idea is. First idea that I'm going to talk about is I told you the story of the alligator, right? I'm sorry, the crocodile versus the snake in the book of Exodus, right? And what did I say? I got that one idea, one idea from a guy called Zion Lex, who I believe is in the Israelite community because he speaks Hebrew and he can read the Medu and things like that. I think he gives a more intelligent, informed perspective, because the people who I don't say I listen to, but the people who I like to get some sort of information from, I don't like the people that just yell these ridiculous theories out here. Like, I've heard some wild things, which I'm going to get to and debunk before the end of the day's show. So I said, I got the idea of the serpent not being a serpent and it being a crocodile from Zion Lex, okay? So now you got me on the record saying I got some from Zion Lex. I have just quoted my source. Now, let's see how that holds up against AI. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen. And we just going to go ahead and I'm going to show you how, if you've never seen ChatGPT before. And once again, I got to share a source again. The only reason why I'm probably doing this is because I saw somebody else using AI on another channel. And that channel would be the Pseudo Killers with a guy by the name of Bobby Banger or Unc West or whatever he wants to go by. Once again, this is not my idea to verify things that I say live with AI. It's their idea. So once again, is it that they didn't create the AI, but I didn't even think about doing something like that until I saw it over there. And I said, you know what? If I believe what I believe, and I believe that I might be somewhat as smart as I might think I am, then I should be able to hold up against AI. I should be able to say something on live, go to AI and say, does this line up? So let's get into the first thing, right? Boom. Shout out to my partner in crime, man, that boy Birdie. AI is here. It absolutely is. So this is what we're about to do. So live on the show, I said something. We about to verify it right now as I'm talking, okay? And we're going to see what I got right, what I got wrong, okay? So right now, you should be able to see my screen, and it says Chat GPT. So let's see if I was right about the crocodile or the snake. So let's ask, first of all, let me show you how Chat GPT works, right? You ask it a question, it answers the question. So basic question. How old is the Bible? Boom. So here you go. ChatGPT says the age of the Bible depends on which part you're referring to. The Old Testament, also known as the Hebrew Bible, has ancient origins and is believed to have been written over a span of many centuries, with some parts dating back to as early as the 12th century BC. The New Testament, which is part of the Christian Bible, was written in the 1st century CE. So there you go, right? So this is how ChatGPT works. It is going to do some certain things, and it doesn't answer what is considered a subjective question, like, am I handsome? I don't have the capability to see or evaluate physical appearance. Beauty is subjective. So once again, it can't answer subjective questions that, of course, is artificial intelligence. So it can only answer what is in its database, but I feel like that's pretty accurate. Okay, so we know what we're dealing with. So the first question is, me versus AI is, let's see, in the book of Exodus, what is the Hebrew word for the creature? Got to be able to spell now too. For the creature that, come on now, in the book of, wait, hold on, in the book, I don't know why I went back there, but there we go. What is the word for the creature? Aaron's, yeah, what 12th grade typewriter course is coming in handy right now. If I can type better, what's the word for the creature? Aaron's rod. Oh my god. See, look, this is when it gets annoying, when your mouse want to keep moving over. Aaron's rod turns into. Okay, so ChatGPT says in the book of Exodus, Aaron's rod turns into a tannin. In Hebrew, the term tannin is often translated as serpent or snake in English. This event in Exodus 7:10, verse 12, right? So boom, we got that. So simple question. Wait, hold on. How do you say crocodile in Hebrew? So there we go. So once again, did I tell you that this is going to be something extra super important? Is your life going to be determined on it? No. All I am doing is establishing why I think the way I think, why I say the things that I say, and why I do the things that I do. So if I'm going to say it was a crocodile, then boom, this is the reason why I can say it was a crocodile. And then I can give you another meaning and try to get you to look at it a little different. Whether or not it's a snake or a crocodile, it is not going to change your faith, your belief system, anything beyond that. Just showing you what we're talking about. So that was something else that I had to do. So while I was on this show called The Pseudo Killers, I was challenged by the good brother Unc West, and he stated that there are no, or something to the effect of, there are no Hebrew text, or there are no texts, biblically speaking, before the 6th century CE. I disagree. So let's see who was right. Are there any biblical text before 6th century BCE? Boom. So there you go. Yes, based on what this says, there are biblical texts that are believed to date back to the 6th century BCE, the Old Testament. So right there, you got the Pentateuch and the Torah, the first 5 books of the Bible, are considered to have been rewritten around the 15th to the 13th century. Okay, so there you go. The books of Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, 8th to 6th century. Historical books like Joshua, Judges, Samuel, 6th century BCE. So there you go. So once again, I'm going to say I was right, because I proved that before 6th century, there were texts that exist. The second thing that my good brother Unc West, and once again, shout out to the elder man. I'm not, I am saying this as respectfully as possible, but I got you. I got you. So, and let me just also say one thing as well. I understand Unc West is an atheist. I understand his channel is about um a lot of times scientific things, and they don't necessarily believe in the theology of believing in God and things like that, right? He doesn't believe Jesus is historical. Going to get to some of that stuff too, right? But the point is, the reason why, because I already started the lesson talking about fruit, but the tree should bear good fruit. People need to see black men communicating to each other, right? My boy who I do my show with, Birdie, man, we had a good time last night. I am the college educated corporate America type, whatever. He is the street, he's been to prison a couple of times, tattoos and all that other stuff, right? But you need to see two black men who don't judge each other. When he comes at me talking to me about aliens, I don't know, man, but I don't look at him as being stupid or inferior to me. I just say, hey, he's coming from a different perspective. So you need to see, especially black men, communicating like that, because just because we don't agree on everything doesn't mean that there has to be all of this tension. The same way when I go over there, you need to see somebody who calls himself a Hebrew, who believes in the Bible, have a conversation with someone who calls himself the black atheist. And when we talk, it's love going back and forth. It's not animosity. I'm not yelling and screaming. I'm not trying to convert him, while he is trying to get me off of my square. But at the same time, you have to be able to, that's why I call myself the Kung Fu Hebrew, because I have to anticipate what he's going to say. Like, he asked me a question about, do I believe Adam and Eve are real? And I was like, well, it depends on which way. But if you want to say, can I prove it historically? No, right? Because if I say, yes, I believe in Adam and Eve, now I got to prove it. You see what I'm saying? How can I prove the first human beings existed when you can't even tell me from an evolutionary theory who was the first human being? You could tell me where a group of them were, but you're asking me to do something that science can't do, so I'm not going to play that game. If you ask me if Noah's Ark is real, you're going to say, where's the archaeological evidence? So I got to say, no. Historically speaking, I can't prove that it is. You understand what I'm saying? So that is the way the conversation has to go. Or the Israelites God's chosen people, right? I know where you're going with it. If I say yes, right now, well, if they are, then why do we live in the conditions we live in? You see what I'm saying? They're always trying to, like, a gotcha moment. But see, if you beat them to the punch, right, then it's like we can have a conversation. I can learn something for you, because if I sit here and I start trying to defend things that I know on certain platforms I cannot defend, then all of a sudden everything goes off track. And now I'm trying to get scripture and verse to try to defend something biblically with science. And sometimes that's just not going to work. Okay. So I've already proven 2 points. Third point that me and this brother, he said there was only one temple, right? Said there was only one temple, because I asked him, what are you talking about? First temple period, second temple period. He said there was only one temple. So let's ask ChatGPT, how many temples were built in Israel? Well, there you go. Solomon's temple, the first temple, constructed by King Solomon, was destroyed by the Babylonians in 586 BCE. And the second one was built after the Babylonian exile, which I've already stated on some of my other programs. So once again, that's 3 for 3. I got you. Now. This is what I'm trying to say. Like, you want to be able to say things and back it up. So let's get into the Exodus, right? So let's ask ChatGPT. Let's just say, is the biblical Exodus a real event? So it says that it's still under debate among scholars and historians. It says the Exodus described in the Bible, particularly in the book of Moses, we know what happens. It says there is limited archaeological and historical evidence directly supporting the biblical account. There we go. Directly supporting the biblical account. So what did I do? If I can't get it directly, I got to try to piece together things, right? Because I'm going to show you something that isn't debated. And that's the reason why I like bringing up Egypt, because once again, these people left receipts. The Israelites or the Hebrews or whoever else really didn't. So now I got to start going to my knowledge. So I'm going to ask the question before I put it in Chat GPT to see if I'm correct. So the question is, who was the first pharaoh of Egypt? My answer is going to be Pharaoh Menes, or Narmer as he was called. Who was the first pharaoh of Egypt? So once again, me and AI are right on point. So this is, once again, how I will show you what I'm saying is matching right up. Now, this is where I say it becomes problematic, because from a biblical standpoint, you want to hold the Bible and things like that, or biblical knowledge, to a higher standard. If I know Narmer was the first pharaoh, then here's a simple question that I would like answered. Who was the father of King or Pharaoh Narmer? Okay, so it says the identity of Pharaoh is not definitively known. There's limited historical evidence. A theory suggests that Aha, also known as Hor Aha, may have been the father of Narmer. Aha is considered by some Egyptologists to be Narmer's predecessor and the first ruler of the first dynasty of Egypt. So once again, there you go. We're going to use AI to try to give us a solid foundation of what we're talking about, right? So I once again, you want definitive things if we're talking biblically, but we can even go into Egypt where they say that theory suggests who the father is, right? So let's see. So I already addressed. I also talked to him about, because some people say the Bible is a bunch of fairy tales and it can't be used as historical information, right? So I mentioned that what do I believe can be historically proven? I started with Moses, but I'm going to skip Moses and go down to the kings. So I will say, was King, let's see, was King Jeroboam, wait, I think Jeroboam, my bad, Jeroboam, a real person? So right there, Chat GPT says, yes, King Jeroboam was a real historical figure mentioned in the Bible. All right. It is the first king of the northern kingdom of Israel after the kingdom split in two, following the reign of King Solomon. Okay. So once again, let's see what time frame we're talking about. When did King Jeroboam reign, if he's a historical figure? So first, there it is. The King Jeroboam is believed to have reigned around the 10th century BCE. According to biblical accounts, Jeroboam's reign began in the division of the United Kingdom. Some place it around 931 BCE, and he ruled for approximately 22 years. So once again, what I am doing is placing historical events within the Bible, and I'm having AI confirm what I'm saying or call me wrong. A good brother who I'm going to say the brother does not know how to properly communicate. I'm not going to say his name, but he knows who he is, right? I don't believe he's in the chat because, once again, there's one thing that I notice about some of these people on the internet. They talk real big behind a golden retriever profile. You know, they talk real big behind a fake name or whatever the case may be, right? But when you invite them, or if you ask them to come speak, or if you have a problem or issue, or you would like to even debate on something, right? Come on, put yourself on camera, expose yourself the way I am, because look, you can see my face up here. You're just an invisible person out there. But I would like to address some of the things that he said, right? So now I'm going to address some of the things that he talked about. Now, I said that the Amarna letters could be used. Keyword, could be. Because what is Chat GPT even saying? Words like believed, possibly, potentially. I can't speak in absolutes when I'm talking historically. I can speak in to the information that is most up to date. But if I speak in absolutes and then somebody goes and digs up some bones somewhere, then guess what? I'm wrong now. So if I say these are potential things, these are things that identify certain things, then that's where we're going. So once again, I'm going to say it again before I put it in Chat GPT. The first thing I said was the Ipuwer papyrus details some of the plagues that were talked about in the biblical Exodus. It doesn't talk about all 10. Doesn't talk about the frogs, doesn't talk about the hail, doesn't talk about all of those. I specifically said the blood. There's a lot of turmoil. People, there's death in this book. It talks about a time where there was darkness. That is what I said. I gave you 3 out of 10. You understand what I'm saying? Now, am I saying, there you go, now you got your proof? No, because scientists can't even do that. You understand what I'm saying? Scientists can't even piece all this stuff together to speak with such, in my opinion, arrogance about a historical fact. So let's see what Chat GPT says. What does the Ipuwer papyrus say? All right, so it says that it's ancient that contains a poetic lamentation about a time of disorder and chaos. All right. It says it describes a series of calamities, social upheaval, and disruptions to the normal order of life. Skip down. One notable aspect of the papyrus is some of its descriptions bear similarities to the biblical account of the plagues of Egypt in the book of Exodus. However, it is important to note that the papyrus and biblical text serve different purposes. So once again, AI is agreeing to what I'm saying. I'm not out here just yelling these or telling you to believe in these crazy, wild theories. Like, I'm going to give you another one, but let me finish this, and I'm going to go into some wild theories, right? And then I'm going to start to call some names of some people who say some wild things. And I'm going to prove to you why I believe they're wild. So, watch this. The next thing I said was the Amarna letters could potentially be describing some of the events that we read about in the book of Judges. So let's see what it says. What are the Amarna letters? Okay, so it says exactly what I said they are. They are diplomatic correspondence written on cuneiform, right? And it's basically talking about different powers who were going back and forth. These letters were died. You can read it on the screen. I'm not going to read all of it because, once again, this is what I'm talking about. The Amarna letters cover a wide range of topics, including requests, political advice, complaints about attacks or raid. So I said this is potentially an explanation of what's going on in Judges, because the term used is the Hapiru. So what I'm going to tell you, the Hapiru would be someone who was like a foreign invader or somebody who was not a native Canaanite. So let's just say, who were the Hapiru? All right, so it says the precise identity of the Hapiru is not definitely known. Some theories suggest that the Hapiru was a social or economic class, while others propose that they were groups of people who may have been displaced, refugees, or even mercenaries. In different contexts, it appears in a broad, somewhat generic sense, and it might encompass various marginalized or dispossessed groups. All right, it says the Hapiru are sometimes associated with the biblical term Hebrews, but it's essential to recognize that linguistic and cultural connections are speculative, right? So once again, that's the reason why I don't speak in exact. When I was talking about them, I said potentially. We have the book of Judges, right, which we already shown when that was written and when those things could have technically occurred. And then I'm giving you a king who is saying they are being attacked by a group called Hapiru. I'm also saying that we know, based on the biblical story, what just happened to the Israelites. They were displaced. They were dispossessed. Now, there's certain events that are adding up to give a potential explanation. But once again, I don't speak in absolutes. I don't do that. You're not going to get that over here. You're going to get, this is the best that I got. I'm not over here digging up bones. I'm not writing any books or anything like that. I'm getting the same information that you have access to. I'm just showing you, if you didn't know these things, this is a more intelligent way of looking at the book that we read. This is a more intelligent way of learning about the God that we claim to serve. This is what I'm doing. I'm not trying to give you no weird way of interpreting the Bible. So even like I said, when I say crocodiles versus serpents, I will still give you Hebrew words to explain why I think that. I will then give you a different look, interpretation of the river turning to blood based on what the story says. That's what I do. I don't give you wild, far-fetched stories like one that I heard, and it's no disrespect to this young brother, but this is a wild theory. Where is the city of Jerusalem located? This brother tells his um, uh, audience of about 15,000 subscribers that Jerusalem is in Utah. So let's type in Chat GPT. Where is the ancient city of Jerusalem located? Jerusalem. There we go. Located. I am going to say, I'll take Israel for 100, Alex. Anywhere but Utah. How about that? So, this is what I'm talking about. When I say wild theories, wild. For you to have 15,000, I'm not even trying to be a hater. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, shout out to Miss Chan and check it in, man. Good morning. Good morning. All right. So if I'm telling you Jerusalem is located in Utah, right? That's a wild theory. That's wild. What type of evidence could you possibly use to back that up? That is wild. That's what I mean by wild theory. So anything that I'm going to teach or anything that I'm going to present, right? I am going to make it make sense. I'm going to use historical evidence. I'm going to use the Bible. I'm going to use common sense and logic. That's why I call myself the Grandmaster of Logic. You got to look at this stuff from a logical perspective. If you don't, you're going to end up looking crazy. You're going to end up following somebody who's going to put you in a cult. Okay? Because I just got finished not arguing, but having a discussion with the lady at Arby's where she's telling me about what my boy told me about. Did you see the 10-foot alien in Miami? And I'm like, see, whether or not I saw it or not, that's not against the point. The point is, do I want to start teaching you about 10-foot aliens in Miami and we're not alone? Do I want to do that? No, I don't want to do that. Or if I say, oh, you know what? See, y'all looking at Noah's Ark wrong. See, what that was, it was actually the extraterrestrials that came down. The Ark wasn't a boat. It was a spaceship. So when they put the animals 2 by 2, they were actually humanoid and other species. You see how insane that is? But I guarantee you is, if I put a post up that says the Ark was a spaceship, 30,000 views. But you gotta sometimes teach these wild theories sometimes for people to follow you. That is wild. I'm not doing that over here. I'm with the scholarship. I'm with trying to make it make as much sense as I can find, where I can have an intelligent conversation about the Bible and not appear preachy and not appear like I'm trying to indoctrinate you or appear as if I'm trying to get you to believe some wild theories. You're not going to get wild theories over here. Okay? You're not going to get that. Another wild theory, right? So let's go back to my Chat GPT. Now, I've already said that I go against One West doctrine. If you don't know who the One West people are, One West is where the, in quotation marks, Hebrew Israelite doctrine started. Okay, that is the Israelite School of Practical Knowledge, or ISUPK, and One West is the street address in New York. I disagree with a lot of things those brothers say, probably 90-some% of what they say. So when the brother who didn't know how to communicate his ideas effectively, like you supposed to treat somebody with respect, when he tried to associate me with One West, I said, how could you get that from me? First of all, I just interviewed Edward Dodge, who is clearly what they would say as an Edomite or Esau, the devil, the white man. Why would I interview the white man and have a good conversation with my enemy? I will say it so I can be on record. I don't consider white people my enemy. I consider you my enemy regardless of color or what you look like if you are my enemy. It's simple. I don't just group people who had no choice in being born as my enemy. Doesn't make any sense. Biblically, you can't make that make sense. You can try, but you've got to pervert the scriptures for that to make sense. Okay? If you don't like Africans, And you're saying, I don't like Africans because of something in the Bible. That's weird. That's weird to say that in 2024. You don't like people because something that you say happened 3,000 and 4,000 years ago. That's weird. So at least if you want to say, I don't like white people because slavery, okay, you're going back 400 years. However, you weren't a slave. Your ancestors were, but I'm not even trying to go there. So once again, I'm going to use AI to show you what I teach versus another wild theory. Okay, here we go. Anybody in the One West camp will call white people Edomites, or they will call them Esau. I teach that most Europeans descend from Noah's son, biblically speaking, from Japhet. So let's type it in AI and see what happens. Biblically speaking, who do most Europeans descend from? So if you look at, it says the biblical narrative includes the descendants of various figures such as those from the line of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japhet, or the descendants of Abraham. However, tracing the biblical genealogies to specific modern European groups is not a straightforward task. Okay, so let me see if I can ask it in a different way, because once again, dealing with AI, you got to make sure you ask the question as accurately as possible. So I will say, who does the Table of Nations say the European is? So if I scroll back up, in Genesis 10, verses 2 through 5, the sons of Japhet, right? It says Japhet is traditionally associated with the ancestors of certain European people. It says the sons of Japhet, Gomer, Magog, Madai, Javan, Tubal, etc., 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 etc. This is why I teach what I teach. Among these descendants, Javan is often associated with the Ionians or Greeks. Once again, not a wild story, biblically speaking. So if you're out there teaching Esau or the Edomites or the white man, once again, you're just going against history. Okay, it's not that hard. That's just the reason why I say it's me versus AI. It's, oh well, you know, what if the AI is manipulated? I don't want to hear that. So far, the AI has been on point. If you got a question out there you want me to answer for AI, right, then I can do that. But this is my point. These people teach some wild things. I heard in a debate the other day, a lot of people, the Egyptian, the Comedics, right? They love talking about, oh, you know, that Bible is copyrighted and y'all stole it off the walls of Egypt. Okay, we stole it off the walls of Egypt, and that Christianity you practice is a lower form of the Kemetic religion. Okay, what I would say is Christianity is more associated with Zoroastrianism than anything that has to do with Kemet. But let's see what AI has to say. Let's see. So, is Christianity related to Egyptian mythology? Wait a minute. I need to scroll down. Yeah, scroll down. Scroll down. All right. So here we go. Let's scroll back up. Christianity and Egyptian mythology share some common themes, symbols, and literary. Number one, in both traditions, there are figures associated with the hope of salvation. In Christianity, Christ is seen as the Messiah. In Egyptian mythology, figures like Osiris and Horus are associated with themes of death and rebirth. Okay, there's a resurrection motif, right? The resurrection of Jesus. Osiris undergoes a death and resurrection narrative, symbolizing renewal and afterlife, right? Some symbols, such as the Ankh, a cross-like symbol, and the imagery of a god with outstretched arms, have been noted in both Egyptian mythology and Christian iconography. So there you go. Now, is that enough on the screen to convince you that it was a stolen religion? Well, let's see the death and resurrection story, just so we can see. Now, what does Christians believe? They believe that Christ was crucified, that he dies on the road and died, and on the third day he arose from the dead. So let's say, what is the resurrection story of Osiris? Wait, come on. See, this is where I gotta see. This is where I got my spell check. I know where oh, it's up there. Resurrection story. Story of Osiris. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's see. Remember, everybody should know the story of Jesus, but let's see how close Jesus crucified. Number one, put in a tomb, rose on the third day. Let's see how close it is to the Egyptian story. Okay, Osiris was born to the sky goddess Nut and the earth god Geb. Pause. Number two, his brother becomes jealous and he sets to conspire and overthrow and kill his brother. I believe James is the brother of Jesus. Not seeing the parallel, but let's keep going. So Osiris is tricked by Set, and then Set then seals and throws him into the Nile, and the coffin is carried away, and Osiris died. Okay, his wife Isis, another part that's weird, because did Jesus have a wife? Biblically, you would say no. Okay, dies. She goes, she gets his body, she retrieves it and brings back to Egypt. Okay, so Set gets upset and he dismembers his body into multiple pieces. All right, and the part that it left out is the one part that they could not find was his penis, and I'm about to put that up so ChatGPT can confirm that too, because it didn't put that in there. But she found all the body parts of Osiris except for the penis or the phallus, right? So then she resurrects it, right? She uses magic, and Osiris is resurrected. And then after Osiris is resurrected, she has sexual relations with the either dead or resurrected body of Osiris. Okay, she makes a penis, right? She makes one, and then that's where Horus comes. So somehow they still like to teach in these Egyptian places that Isis is a virgin. Okay, so if Isis is a virgin, let me ask you a simple question, and I'm not even trying to get graphic here. But if she had sex with a penis, she's not a virgin. If we're talking about the virgin birth, because that's what most Christian theologies teach, right? So, oh man, shout out to one of the great new prophets of the world, man. Gizmo 101 is in the building, man. Shout out to my brother, man. But this is what you got to understand. So if Egypt is going to say the Bible is a copy, what are we talking about here? You just said they dismembered him into pieces and she created, well, I didn't get to that part. I got to prove what I'm saying is true, right? So I'm going to tell you, Isis created a penis and impregnated herself with the dead, gathered together pieces of Osiris, and they're trying to compare that to the death and resurrection of Jesus. Makes no sense. But once again, so I'm just not talking. Let me have AI verify what I'm saying. Did Isis create a phallus to impregnate herself? See, this content may violate our code. It says no, the mythological story of Isis Osiris does not involve Isis creating a phallus to impregnate herself. In the myth, after Osiris's death and dismemberment, she reassembles all his body parts, including his phallus. She then uses magic to conceive a child, Horus, who later becomes a significant figure. Well, you know what? There you go. So I was wrong, y'all. So once again, I'm not above saying I'm wrong, but once again, this is something that I heard, right? I heard about everything but the phallus. So if I'm wrong, I don't mind being wrong about Egypt, because once again, what I tell you, I'm not a Kemetic scholar. I don't pretend to be a Kemetic scholar, right? So regardless, what did it say? She took the dead body of Osiris and she used magic to impregnate herself. So once again, if you think that sounds like what most Christians believe in the death and resurrection, I don't know what we're talking about. What else do we have to talk about? I'm trying to think some other things that will be I consider why. I already talked about the guy who said that Jerusalem is in Utah. I've talked about some different things that you might hear out there. I've also used multiple artifacts, right? Like, so remember those black people, mostly in America, who like to say we come from Egypt, we come from ancient Egypt, and all these different things. Let's see if AI can help us figure this stuff out, right? So I showed you an artifact of King Tut's sandals. So I'm going to ask AI a question. Who was depicted on King Tut's sandals? All right, so it says, and the depictions on the sandals typically feature some Egyptian mythology. The sandals were adorned with various motifs. Ancient sandals, including those, often display images of gods, and protective symbols. Okay, so once again, I need to be more specific. Does King Tut have sandals with his enemies on it? Uh-oh. See, once again, I never present myself to be an evidence, but says no, there's no historical or his evidence or historical record indicating that King Tut had sandals depicting his enemies. The articles found in his tomb, including his sandals, generally do that. Do I want to keep asking AI, or can I admit that I was wrong twice about Egypt? Let me see. Let's see if I can ask another question. King Tut has canes or walking. Wait, hold on. Who are depicted on King Tut's walking sticks? All right, ChatGPT. You have won again. I cannot prove that King Tut has his enemies on there. So I'm gonna have to say, yep. So there we go. AI wins again. Am I mad? Am I upset? Do I feel like I've lost my religion now that I've said something, I've made a claim, and I can't prove it using AI? Dang, I can't prove King Tut had his sandals with his enemies on it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do one more thing against AI, and then I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up for the day, man. Appreciate everybody checking in, tuning in to the show today. The last question that somebody wanted to test me. So I've already talked about how old the book is, right? I've already talked about well, not the book, but the scriptures. Somebody told me that the Bible, or there are no biblical text before 6th century BCE, already proved with AI. I was correct. See, when it comes to the Bible, I ain't missed yet when it comes to the Bible. That Egypt stuff, hey, if I'm wrong about King Tut and his enemies, it could be his friends on his shoes. He might have wanted to put his friends on walking sticks. I don't know. Maybe that's what it says. But once again, I don't have no problem with being wrong, because I'm going up against AI. So AI gonna say AI ain't gonna have no bias in it, right? So that's just gonna be what it's gonna be. I'm cool to be wrong about Egypt, but when it comes to the book, when it comes to Israel, your boy has not missed one yet. Okay, so I talked about the age. I talked about how many temples, first temple, second temple, because somebody told me there was only one, wrong, based on AI, right? We talked about the crocodile and the snake with Aaron's rod against Pharaoh. We talked about that, right? So I told you why I said what I said. So if you've seen that video, explained it. All right. I'm trying to think of something wild. What is a wild theory? So now for the last 5 or so minutes, I'm going to try to think of some wild things that I hear on the internet, and let's see what AI has to do. So there's a group of people in America right now who call themselves Abos, right? Aboriginals. They believe that they are the Native Americans that were here, always here. So let's see what AI has to say. Were there Black Native American tribes? Huh. Well, based on AI, there you go, Abos. You got some evidence right there. AI is saying yes. I couldn't get AI, you punk, to prove that King Tut. Nah, man, I ain't giving up that King Tut sandal argument, man. Hold on, man. I ain't gonna be wrong this morning, man. King Tut sandals, man. Nope, 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 nope. Not allowing it to happen this morning, AI. Nope, 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 nope. So here we go, man. I'm sorry. I gotta be right on these sandals real quick. So let me go ahead and let me show you. I don't care what nobody say, bruh. That is a Semite, and them are Africans on his sandals. And I don't care what nobody say. That's my boy in the audience. But if I was walking with some sandals that had his face on it, that means every step I take, like New Edition said, right? I want to step on my enemies, bro. So AI, you got that one wrong. But anyway, let me go back to let me get back to my lesson, man. But check this out, right? So, Abos, AI is on your side. What does it say? It says that the history of Native American tribe is diverse, and interaction between Native Americans and people of African descent have occurred. So one well-known example of Black energy, such tribes as Cherokee, Choctaw, Creek, Seminole, who had members who were African slaves and later free Americans and Native Americans intermarried. So there you go, right? Now, it's not necessarily saying y'all were always here, but hey, if you claiming a Native American ancestor, you might have something to say there. I'm not going to say that it makes it 100% true, but what I am going to say is, you know what? You might have something here. Okay, so one of these things floating out here, right? And once again, I'm not trying to disparage a group of people, but there are multiple theories to where the Jews come from, right? And a lot of people in the Hebrew Israelite community will definitely say Esau, Edomites, right? Another theory that exists is that they are a people called the Khazars, right? So let's see what AI says about the Khazars. I'm not going to ask them, are the Jews the Khazars? Because guess what? If I ask them that question, it's not going to answer it because doesn't work that way. I can't ask them, who are Black people, right? It might give me an answer. Let's just try that. Who are Black people? All right, so it says that generally refers to individuals who are part of a racial ethnic group with dark skin, often associated with sub-Saharan ancestry. However, it is central to note the concept of race is a social construct. So at that point, I can just stop. So the people who would say that the modern Jew is a Khazar, right? Let's see what ChatGPT says about the Khazars. Who are the Khazars? Well, did it show up yet? The Khazars are a semi-nomadic Turkic people who established a cognate in the North Caucasus region and later expanded their influence into Eastern Europe. The Khazar cognate existed from the late 7th century to 10th century CE. The Khazars played a significant role in the trade networks of geopoliticals. Number one, they're of Turkic origin. Number two, they converted to Judaism. Number three, trade and diplomacy. Right? The Khazars are known for their engagement in trade and diplomacy. And then it talks about their decline. And then it basically talks about kind of sort of where they went afterwards. Right? So if I was going to try to make a claim for that, I'm not saying, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't care who they are. Right? Don't matter to me. Doesn't affect me in any way. But what I'm saying is I'm telling you what's out there. So if you look at it, then if somebody said, well, if they're not who they say they are and they're not the people in the book, I would say, based on what AI could tell me, that sounds like a very accurate description. They like to deal in trade. They come from the area around the Caucasus Mountains. Historically, it shows they converted to Judaism over, what, 1,000 years ago, right? So we get to even see the transmission of how they could have gotten a hold of some things, right? So am I saying that's what it is? Have I ever talked about who I believe these people? No. The only thing I've said is the term Ashkenaz, I believe in one of my early videos, could be referring to the Ashkenazi Jews. That's all I said. Outside of that, you're not going to get all that here, okay? So let's see. I want to ask AI a couple more questions, then I'm gonna wrap it up. If you got any questions that you want me to ask AI, go ahead and put it in the chat, man. We can go ahead and have a little fun with it. So I already talked about abos, talked about the Khazars, talked about a lot of different things. So you know what? I'm curious. Where does the term Caucasian come from? Why do we use that word to describe white people? What does the term wait, no. What is the origin of the word Caucasian? All right, so apparently, there was a German, what did it say? Is it an archaeologist? What did it say? A German, is it anthropologist? What was he? It's German anthropology in the late 18th century. So we're only talking about a word that's been used for less than 200 years. Okay, so once again, the term Caucasian is only 200 years old. So this is the reason why, because this guy named Blumenbach basically said this is what a Caucasian was. Now, he basically said that they came out of the Caucasus region, particularly Georgians. And he also said that this is the most beautiful and exemplary of all human races. So once again, look at where these terms that we have originate from. That's the reason why I said you always need to go to the source. You need to know where these things are coming from, because we'll call somebody a Caucasian, and then now you understand when you're calling somebody a Caucasian, what are you doing? The guy who invented the term said they were the most beautiful of all races, the most beautiful. So you call somebody a Caucasian, they should say thank you, because what you're saying is, based on who wrote it, based on who created the term, you're calling them the most beautiful being on the planet. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. You need to know where these terms that sometimes we get associated with, sometimes we like to use, and some people say, oh yeah, we call them Caucasians because they come out of the Caucasus Mountains. It's not what that said. It said right there in plain day that he believed that they were the most beautiful. Okay, so like I said, these words that we use in the English language, they have meaning, and we need to understand how to apply these different things. Okay, okay, he said, ask the chat, do you have to get baptized in water for salvation? Good question. This was a topic of a debate that was on another channel. So let's see what it Chat GBT says. Biblically speaking, does a person need water baptism for salvation? All right, so it says some Christian denominations believe in baptismal regeneration. This perspective holds that baptism is a sacrament through which a person is regenerated or born again. Other denominations emphasize faith in Jesus Christ as the primary factor for salvation, or the symbolic or ordinance view. Some Christian denominations view baptism as an ordinance or symbolic act. Once again, I would tend to agree with all of those. I think those are all very accurate. That's the reason why I said Chat GPT is a beast. You understand what I'm saying? Like a lot of questions that you could ask, a lot of different things that you could just, kind of confirm or line up, just any question. You understand what I'm saying? I think that's pretty accurate. And if you wanted to, it can actually go and get you scriptures if you need other things. So the reason why I say AI is a good tool as a reference point is because it's going to do most of the work for you. It doesn't mean just because AI said it, you have to believe it. What it can mean is it can be used as a tool. That is my thing. The Bible is a tool. However, the tool does me no good if I don't know how to apply it when I interact with other human beings. If my wife is acting a fool and I'm using the Bible and I'm trying to tell her, you need to do this, and she's still acting a fool, then does that make the Bible word null and void? No. Does that mean that what I'm saying is incorrect? No. You have to understand we're dealing with individual human beings, and some of these human beings are crazy. Some of these human beings do not think logically. So regardless of what the book says, we're dealing with people who don't deal with the book. We're dealing with people who view the book differently. So we have to be Chat GPT ain't going let's see, Chat GPT. How can I get my wife to act right? Let's see. Oh snap. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Well, Well, dang, Chat GPT got me for the third time. I thought it was going to say that it is not allowed to talk about that. But since I asked the question, how can I get my wife to act right? Chat GPT says open communication, active listening, express my feelings. If that don't work, seek professional help. So what if you talk about mental health in the community? Spend some quality time with each other. Let's have some shared goals. What dang, AI. Whew, whew. I mean, I can't argue. I mean, how you gonna argue with that? Anybody see something wrong with what they saying? Look at what it's saying. I mean, I was thought it was gonna give me something else. Appreciation, right? I know that's one thing I like to ask for. Me and my boy Gizmo talk about being underappreciated all the time. And this is what AI is telling us, man. It's getting kind of scary, man. Understand the differences and patience. I told y'all, man, Chat GPT is a beast. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to information, and even like what I just asked, how can I get my wife to act right? If I do these things or these things was done to me, would I think better about our relationship? Absolutely. Absolutely. Some things that I be having conversations with my sister, with my brothers, with my friends, whoever. Chat GPT already, boom, popped it up on the screen. So I'm trying to think down, man. See, now I'm like, I wanna ask it something else now. Because if it told me how to fix my relationship, let's see. Oh, I know what I need to address, right? Because once again, I talk about a little bit about polygamy, right? And some people would tell me that polygamy is wrong, or polygamy is a sin, or whatever. My thoughts on polygamy is it's neutral, biblically speaking, right? You can have one, you don't have to have more than one. You can be monogamous, you can be polygynous, doesn't really matter, right? We have examples of people being monogamous. We have examples of people being, multiple wives, right? But I am going to say the Bible is neutral on polygamy. So I will say, biblically speaking, is polygamy a sin? All right, so it says the biblical perspective on polygamy is complex and interpretations vary among different traditions and denominations. In the Old Testament, the Hebrew scriptures, there are individuals that have multiple wives, and you know the names. Said while the Old Testament does document polygamous relationship, it does not explicitly endorse or condemn it. Okay. In the New Testament, with the teachings of Jesus, for example, in the Gospel of Matthew, Jesus refers to God's creation of one woman, one man, one woman, and that it should become one flesh after they leave their parents' house. Additionally, in the New Testament, for the church leaders, often include the requirement to have one wife, and they said that can be found in 1 Timothy 3:2 or Titus 1:6. It says, while many Christian denominations discourage or do not discourage or explicitly condemn polygamy based on their interpretation of biblical teaching, it's important to know that views on this matter can differ. Ultimately, the interpretation of biblical teachings on polygamy varies among Christian traditions, and individuals may seek guidance from their specific religious leaders and denominations on that matter. So once again, AI is man, I don't know, man. If one day we can find out a way to put the A, well, I ain't gonna say that, put the AI brain in some of these women, man, that would mm, 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 mm. That would be great. That would be great, man. So I think I've answered a lot of questions today. I'm just trying to think, man. This AI is getting good, man. Let's see. I got a question. Let's see. Well, no, I ain't gonna ask it that. I'm trying to think. Any other questions in the chat? Any other thing y'all want me to ask them? Because I mean, my show ran a little over today. I appreciate the people that tapped in with me, that tuned in today. Because once again, I just want to be able to show these different things. So if I'm going to say something, I need to be able to back it up. And AI is right here for me to back it up. If I get something from someplace, I'm going to give credit from who I learned it from. Otherwise, I would be a dishonest scholar. I'd be a dishonest YouTuber. If I have my own individual thoughts and ideas, I would do it. All right, so Carl Gray asked me about, did I ask about the true Sabbath? So let's see what what AI says. So I will say, what day is the Sabbath? I believe that's good enough. All right, so here we go. It gave you talking about Abrahamic religions. It says in Judaism, the Sabbath is observed from Friday evening at sunset to Saturday evening at sunset. That's what I practice. In Christianity, Seventh-day Adventists are similar to the Jewish traditions. Most other Christian denominations observe Sunday as the day of worship and rest. In Islam, Friday is considered a special day for congregational prayers, known as whatever that says. While it is not considered a Sabbath, it is the same sense in Judaism or the Christian traditions. So right here you have Chat GPT. Oh, okay, well, he said I did once and man, chat danced around it. So I hope maybe that answered it for you. I don't know. I mean, it's separated by Judaism and Christianity, Carl. So hopefully, man, once again, shout out to Carl, man, one of the smartest, bright brothers I know. Let's see. He says, now ask if there's biblical justification for Sunday Sabbath. Okay. Is there a biblical justification for Sabbath on Sunday? Let's see. Okay, so it says for Sunday is primarily rooted in Christian traditions and interpretations of the New Testament. Unlike Judaism, which observes the Sabbath from Friday, many Christians shifted their primary day of worship and rest to Sunday. The practice is based on several biblical considerations. The resurrection happened on a Sunday. It says a key factor, they believe Jesus was resurrected on a Sunday, often referred to as the Lord's Day. Early Christian practice in the New Testament, there are indications that early Christian communities gather for worship on the first day of the week. For example, Acts 20:7 mentions the disciples coming together to break bread on the first day of the week. Once again, what's the first day of the week? Nowadays, I would consider the first day of the week Monday, not Sunday. And then it says there are instances in the New Testament where the first day of the week is mentioned in connection with Christian gatherings and activities. So it seems to be more about the the more of a Christian tradition than actually backing up biblically. But yeah, the brother Carl Gray, I'm gonna have to get with this brother because I need to advertise some great things he's doing with technology and helping people build their businesses. So just like I advertised my cousin's restaurant, I'm gonna make it a point to get with this brother this week, and I gotta get his business out there because that's what I'm about on this channel. I'm gonna promote my people, right? Don't charge him nothing. I made the video for my cousin. All I asked my cousin to do, send me over some plates. I don't charge him. I hope y'all go out there and support him. I don't have any dog in the fight. I don't have a Kung Fu Hebrew code. So every time you go over there, I get 10% of. No, I'm doing it because I want to be a blessing to other people because that's what it's about for me. Regardless of whether 10 people or 10,000 people watch my channel, that's never going to change because I want money from YouTube. Let me repeat it again. I want the YouTube money. Whether or not you want to cash at me or super chat me once that option becomes available, that is up to you. But if YouTube want to pay me for doing what I do and people want to come listen to me, and by listening to me, YouTube says, hey, here's a check, here's a check, here's a check. That's who I want the money from. I don't need the people's money. And if I can help the people get some money because now, based on my channel being elevated or whatever the case may be, more people can bring them some business. I'm not going to say, hey, Carl, you know, I sent you 10,000 people, man. What's up? You ain't going to hit your boy up? No, because why? You created a wonderful idea and you should be given full credit. The same way, just because somebody doesn't know about it doesn't mean I need credit. Why should I get credit for something he devised out of his own brain just because I'm sending people over to him? I need credit for sending the people. That's ridiculous. And I think sometimes we get too caught up in me. But what I tell you on this channel and what I tell you about myself, I'm not perfect. You can talk to any of my ex-girlfriends. You can talk to my wife, either one of them, and they'll tell you I'm not perfect, right? But what I'm trying to tell you is I am making the best attempt I can to use this book and to walk in it and to move in it every single day of my life. It doesn't mean that I'm perfect, right? Because that's what everybody says. Oh, if you're perfect, then you understand what I'm saying? Oh, I bet if I check your the history on your phone right now or your internet history, I bet I find some stuff. Probably would. I mean, what you want me to do? You want me to get up here and lie and say you might find something? On? Yeah, you're going to find some stuff. I don't have to explain why it is. I'm not up here justifying what you might find on my phone. But what I am saying is, if you ask me whether it was right or wrong, I would tell you, yeah, I was wrong for going to that site. But hey, you know what I'm saying? I'm in the truck a long time. That's all I can say. I have some moments. It is what it is, man. But once again, I'm not up here trying to have a holier than thou mentality. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not up here trying to do it. I'm saying that's what we should all be trying to focus for. How can we move throughout life in a more righteous manner when people deal with you? Not like in a I'm a holier than that. Oh, let me try to do this. Let me try to get you to say that. No. After someone has a conversation, they should be like, you know what? That's a solid brother right there. That's a solid individual. That's a solid woman right there. That's a solid individual. That's all we should be trying to do. Now, how we want to go through and translate what the book says and what it does and all these other different things, that's left up to you. I'm going to teach it the way I feel like I'm being directed, and I'm dealing with the history. I'm dealing with the simplistic view of what the Bible says, sometimes the allegorical view of what the Bible says. But if you want to talk to me about the history of the Bible, I can talk to you about it like the genealogy. I can say those are men or those represent nations. Either way, it shouldn't change whether or not you can communicate with a live human being who's alive right now, who's right across from you, who you have to interact with, who you work with. That's my point. Because the book does you no good if you're concerned about what a whole bunch of dead people are talking about. And that's the one thing about the Bible. Everybody we're reading about is dead, except for go to the New Testament, Jesus, that's what you believe, right? So I'm going to rock with what you believe with. Everybody else is not here anymore. So if you can't read something and apply it, you understand what I'm saying? I believe Jesus said something like, if you can't love the brother who you have seen, how can you love me who you've never seen? That's a bar. That's a bar right there. It don't matter whether you believe in Jesus or not. If you can't treat your fellow human beings properly, and you're saying, oh, I believe in this book, and I don't know what to tell you. But me, this is how I'm trying to do it. And trust me, my wives push me to the limit to test that theory most of the time on a daily basis. But what do I try to do? I try to be the best husband I can be, right? I try to be. I try to emulate how I would want to be treated. I try to do the things that I want. I say, well, maybe if I treat her as good as I could. Now, some of my ex-girlfriends be like, nah, he don't. No, all you have to do is like, if I made it big, all y'all got to do to get all the dirt you want, just go straight on my Facebook and be like, yep, did you date? Is he really like? Nope, he's terrible. I was a horrible individual as a boyfriend. I get that. I look at some of the women I dated who are married now and I clap and salute. I'm not jealous. I'm not upset, right? I'm happy for you because at the time I was a jerk. I was a whatever type of word you want to place there. That's who I was. I was a player. I was sleeping with multiple women at the same time. Was I right? Absolutely not. But that, like you say, that's the old me. What does the Bible say? We will be born again. You will become a new creature. Old things are passed away. So if those old things are passed away, you have to be able to see a difference now. Because if you don't, then once again, I'm making the book null and void. So once again, man, I've got to the hour and 20 mark, man. I really enjoyed this morning's show. If you haven't, man, make sure you subscribe on YouTube. And if you're subscribed on YouTube, every time I go live, make sure you click all, not personalized, because that's the default YouTube will do. It will not give you a notification every single time. If you haven't already, and if I've said anything today that was worth something, I ask you to hit the like button so that way we get into the algorithm and I can start getting the YouTube money. Don't want your money. Black businesses out there, you want me to help you promote you? I'll do that. No charge. I'm not going to charge you to create a commercial. If you got a commercial set up, makes my job easier. But if you don't, I can help you with that. No problem. No charge ever. What's the day? 1/13/2024. So if we come back next year, now I got 50,000 subscribers, 1,000 people in the chat, all that type of stuff, right? I'm getting that YouTube money, 15,000 views per show. Guess what? You still ain't going to pay nothing. That's what I'm telling you right now. I'm not going to elevate myself just so I can try to elevate my pockets. If I'm going to elevate my pockets, I'm going to do it by the work of my own hands, or I'm going to get it from the platform who you're spending time on this morning, which is YouTube. I want the YouTube money, not the people's money. So with that being said, man, I want to wish everybody out there. Oh, dang, before I go, I just saw my dog Gizmo say, ask AI, has the dietary laws changed? Let's see. Last question, then I'm gonna get up out of here. Have the dietary, well, hold on, let me see, biblical. Have the biblical dietary laws changed? Okay, so this is what it says. It says, the Bible dietary laws as outlawed in the Old Testament Hebrew scriptures are primarily found in the book of Leviticus and Deuteronomy. These laws referred to as, I'm not going to read, well, I guess that's what it's reading. So referred to as kosher laws include restrictions on certain animals that are considered clean and unclean. All right. It says in Christianity, the New Testament, particularly in the book of Acts and the letters of Paul, contain passages that indicate a shift in the understanding and application of dietary law. One key moment is Peter's vision in Act 10, where a sheet, is that correct? Yeah, where a sheet with various animals is lowered from heaven, and a voice tells Peter to kill and eat. Peter initially resists, citing the dietary laws, but the voice responds, what God has made clean, do not call common. That is Acts 10 and 15. This vision is interpreted as a broader message that the gospel is for both Jews and Gentiles. The letter of Paul also emphasized that believers are not under the obligation to observe the dietary laws. In Romans 14:14, Paul states, I know him and am persuaded in the Lord Jesus that nothing is unclean in itself, but it is unclean for anyone who thinks it is unclean. So once again, AI is a beast. I mean, that's a breakdown in what, 5 seconds? You understand what I'm saying? I know I've been talking now for an hour and 25 minutes, but man, I don't have to talk about 4 hours about unclean dietary laws. It says it right there. It says in the New Testament, there is a shift. This is AI. This ain't my words. I'm just telling you what AI said. So once again, I tell you most of the time on my channel, if you don't like something I'm saying, get mad at your Bible, get mad at history, get mad at artifacts, get mad at archaeology, get mad at anthropology, and now you can get mad at AI. Because AI said it, not me. But I agree with what it's saying. There is a shift in the New Testament that tells you that you are no longer under dietary guidelines. Now, however, once again, I'm going to say the same thing that I'm going to say. The food that you eat, the food that you consume. Now, if we want to talk about living righteously and things like that, yes, that is going to play a part in it. But once again, if you're, not eating pork and shrimp, but once again, you treat human beings like a piece of garbage, do you think the Most High is going to say, well, he didn't eat no ribs, but he didn't love his brother? Which one do you think is going to hold more weight? That's the way I would look at certain things, man. So, man, once again, shout out to everybody that is tapped in today. I do this show every Saturday. If you haven't already, had a great show last night. It is more of a secular show. It's called The Worst Podcast, man. You can find it right here on the channel. Me and my homie, Dat Boy Birdie, went in for about, it ain't going to feel like 2 hours. It's entertainment, right? So you got to understand, I do more than just, this is my scholarly, biblical, let's talk about how to live righteously. Last night, we having some fun. We talking about Cat Williams. We talking about Nick Saban out of Alabama. We talking about women, what we like, what we dislike about women. It's a way that, once again, you got to put your earmuffs up. It is for adults. It's his fault. It's my boy's fault. I don't be cursing and doing all that. But once again, he a grown man and he gonna talk the way he talk. I ain't like, hey man, you gotta watch the language because the kids. No. What I'm gonna tell you is, it's a good variety show. We also talked about TD Jakes and Diddy. So we do discuss a lot of different things, but we put a lot of hard work into the show. It's not just two people talking for an hour or so. We put a lot of work into the show to make it as entertaining as possible, informative. You know, he got a segment called Top Secret where he gonna talk about a 10-foot alien in Miami. He's gonna talk about the importance of numbers and gematria and all that stuff. Now, whether or not I rock with it doesn't matter. But what I'm saying is, I feel like on the show there is something for everybody. I reviewed Marvel's Echo on the show, so I just want to give my own thing. So if you haven't already, and you can find it. I think the link is in the one of the descriptions of on the channel. It's the Worst Podcast, W.O.R.S.E podcast on YouTube. So check us out over there, because honestly, man, I feel like, you got to take a break. So whether you're overly religious, whether you're overly political, whether you're overly into whatever, you got to take a break. So I would appreciate it if you would just, check out the show, man. We had a good time last night. And that's basically it, man. I appreciate everybody tuning in. This has been the Kung Fu Hebrew versus AI. Like I said, man, I took some lumps, man. I'm not perfect, y'all. I gave out some misinformation about King Tut and his sandals, y'all. I apologize. Man. I was wrong. So right now, so people who gonna eventually want to clip things, if I start to get into some debates later on, here we go, man. I was wrong about King Tut's sandals. I could not get ChatGPT to agree with me no matter what way I typed it in. Couldn't get him to agree with me. So ChatGPT, you won about 2 rounds, but when it came to the Bible, and shout out to the pseudo killers once again. Unc, you need to watch this show. I got you. I got you on them 4 points, brother. I got you. So I'm not pseudo. And whenever you're ready to do a little bit more sparring, brother, in love, we can go ahead and do that. And that's what I'm trying to bring, man. I don't care who I have on this channel. I could maybe have somebody like Captain Zariak on the channel one day. Even if me and this brother disagree, I guarantee you we will have a good conversation. And it won't be disrespectful, because we need to learn how to communicate people who disagree with us, right? Because this is what we complain about with white people, right? You don't understand me, so you don't know how to talk to me. You disrespect me just because you don't like me, just because you don't like what I say. That's not how we're supposed to communicate with people. If you have a differences of agreement, hey, explain that to me. Walk me through it. Hey, you want to talk about evolution? Walk me through evolution. What do you mean? What do you mean? What is evolution? Okay. So you telling me that the polar bear came from the brown bear, and what happened was when the polar bear got too far north, eventually his kids started coming out white, because if you're a brown bear surrounded by ice, then the prey, it could see you. Makes sense. Makes sense. Now, if you want to tell me that it happened millions of years ago, then this is what I'll end the show on. I'll say, look, if you want to tell me the Earth is 13 point whatever billion, wait, hold on. Ain't no point in even guessing. AI, real quick. How old is the Earth? All right, so let me share that real quick. Because, oh yeah, I forgot to ask 2 questions real quick. Because these were 2 real quick questions that I'm gonna ask, and then I promise you I'm gonna let y'all go. We got some playoff football to talk about. Not to talk about, but to see, and some basketball games and such. But real quick, I forgot to ask 2 questions. So the age of the Earth is approximately 4.5 billion years old. So why do we say it's the year 2024? It should be the year 4,500,400,001 or 500,004. Why don't we use that? Because you got to understand, how do we do things, right? So even when you say it's 2024, guess what? You're using the Bible. Even in how we calculate time or how we determine time, you're using the Bible. That's the reason why you don't say it's the year 4.5 billion and 25. We don't do that, right? You're still using the Bible. You're still using Christ. And if you don't believe me, I believe there was some monk or something like that who was trying to find out about basically do something for Easter. And this is where we used to have the Anno Domini, the after death and the before Christ. So let's see if I'm wrong. What is the origin of BC and AD? So the traditional system of dating history with the birth of Jesus as the central point gained prominence in the Middle Ages and was popularized by the Venerable Bede, an English monk and historian in the 8th century. However, it is not widely adopted until the later Renaissance period. So right there, all right, right there, we're showing you this is even how time is calculated. So time is calculated using the Bible. So once again, you can't get around it. And my final question for ChatGPT is Jesus a real person? So what do we got? It says, this is AI, not me. So the people who say Jesus is not a historical person, the historical existence of Jesus is widely accepted among scholars and historians, both religious and secular. While the details of his life and the accounts of his deeds are primarily found in religious texts, there is a consensus among historians that a historical figure named Jesus of Nazareth lived in the 1st century CE. Several historical sources, including writings from ancient historians and references in non-Christian texts, provide indirect evidence of Jesus' existence. Some key points include Roman historians Tacitus and Suetonius writings in the 1st and 2nd centuries, Jewish historian Josephus, who I talk about all the time if you watch the show, were made in the late, even though I think the one that Josephus made in the Antiquities of the Jew was added on later. That's just my opinion right there. So once again, based on the AI, Jesus is real. The kings of Israel are historical. From Jeroboam, when it splits from the northern to the southern kingdoms, AI said that was proper. It didn't confirm the Exodus, right? But once again, I didn't ask enough questions. But once again, this is why I say what I say. I was using historical evidence to try to build a case for the Exodus. If I just ask it, did the Exodus occur historically, it's going to say no. That makes sense. Okay. So that's what AI says. So even Jesus is real. So if everybody who rocks with Jesus, Yeshua, Yahweh, whatever you want to call him, the Messiah, the Mashiach, if you rock with him, AI says Jesus is real. And it gave you the receipts for why. Now, it doesn't necessarily say that what's read about in the Bible is correct. But once again, fight with AI on whether or not Jesus is real. But once again, man, I've been the Kung Fu Hebrew, the Grandmaster of Logic. And if you forgot who I was, let me remind you one last time before I go.
And my man, my brother, Kung Fu Fighting, Kung Fu Hebrew. Ho, 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 ha! Ho, 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 ha!
So, man, on that note, man, Shabbat Shalom, man. Y'all have a blessed weekend and see y'all next week. All right, time to end things. So I'm going, yeah.